Hold your opinions lightly, because things change. I'm Daniel Whittington. I'm the Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. Before I lose track, this is a bottle today that we're going to try, 10-year-old Old Overholt. It was given to us by Jack Stewart. Thank you, Jack. We named the monkey Jack. Recently, so I got a little bit of a head cold. Recently, I was talking to somebody I hadn't seen in 20 years, more than 20 years. And we got to talking, and they were still very much a part of the world and community and worldview that I haven't been a part of since the mid-2000s, at least 20 years. And I realized that the world they were living in had looked absolutely nothing like the reality I thought we were all living in. I was practically on an alternate timeline from their view of how the world worked and how things were. And a few things came up in a conversation that I just fundamentally disagree with. And I had to decide in the moment whether I was going to make that disagreement known and clear, and potentially argue with someone I hadn't seen in 20 years and will probably never see again, or not. And a couple of things occurred to me. The first one is, that's the era that we're swimming in. The era we're swimming in right now is everybody is us versus them. Everyone's going to pick sides and then throw rocks at the other side. You're either for us or you're against us. And I am just as much a product of that water right now as everyone is, and I am aggressively trying to not contribute to that world. And I want to be a part of the culture of listening and hearing and trying to understand and trying to see the person behind the opinion. And that is so hard. And to be honest, I'm not very good at it. I tend to be good at it in retrospect. And then if I keep my mouth shut and don't say anything, then 3 days later I can come back and be kind and reasonable and thoughtful. In the very moment, if I don't keep my mouth shut, I'm just as bad as anybody at being like, you know what? And then dropping a hammer. So I'm not talking about something that I've really nailed. But in this moment, I had a chance to make this person feel like a human being and feel seen and feel heard and listened to. Or I had the chance to start a micro version of our own culture war in the middle of a store for no reason and for no gain. I've got no skin in the game with this person. I've got no relationship capital. There's nothing I'm trying to invest myself and give myself into. That's called an opinion drive-by. That's not got any value at all. The second thought came later, and it was a little more, that hurts a little. But first, let's drink some Old Overholt 10 years old. So this is the Jim Beam Distillery. Remember this is the 2000, barreled in 2012, so bottled 2022. This, the history is the name Old Overholt, one of the longest running active brands in the history of whiskey. But as we talked about before, this rye whiskey is closer to a Kentucky rye than the original era of Monongahela rye that the name sort of came from. I feel like we've tried the 10-year before, but I don't have any memory of it. It's been at least 3 or 4 years. So I'd put it at least sometime in 2020. And it's just a higher proof cask strength release of the Old Overholt, in theory, and a little older. Oh, and sure enough, this is dense. If you put brown sugar across like a herbal focaccia bread, it's really wintergreen and spearmint, and then brown sugar and buttered toast, oak wood barrel and like perfume box. It's dry. It smells like this dark barrel looks. Kind of wicker. That's got some kick. I like that. I didn't think I was going to like it to the level that I like it. But I like that. It's simple. There's not a lot of complexity. It sort of has this dense kernel. The nose and the palate are just side by side in lockstep. It rolls out and delivers and then sort of goes away without a fight. The palate experience is thin, blushful, and then rolls off and then just sort of evaporates, but not in a way that leaves you wanting. But it's not clingy. It's dry on the finish compared to sugar. The green and the herbal wintergreen of the like spearmint grass is what's that grassiness is lingering. It's interesting. Add a little bit of water to this. Ooh, that was a lot of water. That might have knocked it down to 40. 60.5. 121. That was not too much water for the nose. The nose is great. It brought out more of the licorice and spearmint notes. Green. And it softened the palate into almost nothing. I'm going to let it sit for a second and rest, and we'll see if it changes. So here's a second thing that I had pop into my head. I realized as I was listening to this person that they were saying all of the exact same things that I said 25 years ago, using some of the same words and some of the same lingo, and definitely making the same points and coming to the same conclusions. And I realized one of the reasons I was so sensitive and reactionary in that moment was because I was effectively having an argument with myself from 20 years ago, which made me take it a little bit personal. I remember that time. I remember how certain I was of so many things. I remember the hubris of knowing that threaded through all my actions. I'm not really that person anymore, and I doubt more than I know, I think, these days. I'm constantly finding out I was wrong on short windows of time and long windows of time. It makes me a lot less confident about being certain of just about anything. Now, hear me, I still have opinions. Anyone who knows me can tell you, I've got opinions. I've got opinions to spare. That's my personality. I've definitely not stopped having opinions. But once I get through the initial, here's my opinion, my brain immediately goes, yeah, but is it though? Do you? And immediately I'm second guessing, like, I don't know, maybe that's just my context or whatever. So here's what I would say. Oh, much better. It's settled. Bright, green, herbal, spearmint forward, a little bit of licorice, lots of brown sugar, toasted pastry. This is nice. I like this. Way better than the classic. Way better than the standard Old Overholt. So here's what I would say. Hold your opinions lightly, especially when your theoretical opinions run up against very real human beings. And I'm really glad you're here. Cheers to you. There's one opinion we can all agree with. It's that you should like and subscribe.